All right, welcome everyone. We're here for this, I won't say it's an emergency webinar on the YSQ-R, but there's been a few little changes to the scoring tool, and was talking to Oz backstage about that, and thought it might be good to actually, there was quite a bit to it, so I thought, why not get you on, man? So nice to see you.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, likewise. Always good
Nice
to
to
see
see you. How's everything going?
you. Yeah, good. Busy. Especially with with these little projects here. Trying to make the scorer and the questionnaire and stuff as accessible to people as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in like different languages and all of that kind of stuff. But really good. Thank you.
Kind of working on it, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
You all right, and why don't we just get straight into it? Why did you feel you needed to change the scorer, and what actually have you done? What are the changes? So, twofold
Okay.
question.
All right. So I guess well let's go. Let's start with the questionnaire first. Because I made a couple of changes in that. So let me share my screen if I can just do that. Share. There we go. Okay, have you got that?
I can't see anything yet.
Oh, here we go. Got to push the share button, don't we? Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So a couple of little modifications with this one. So in one of the original versions of the YSQ-L3, the questionnaire actually had a section where patients could make comments on
Hmm.
next to each item to see if basically, if there was a more nuanced kind of response or to
Hmm.
gauge how
If
that.
they really wanted to give you context or something.
Yeah. So we've basically changed that to now be able to make comments next to each of the
Yeah,
items,
yeah.
so that clinician and the patient can get a
So
bit
there's a
more
field
nuanced
there for that. There's
understanding.
a field there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest sort of change, and obviously the instructions have are matched to
It stayed consistent.
yeah. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this because this is how we're going to use essentially
Hmm.
these two tools
Hmm.
together. Um,
Hey, I've got a question already. Like, it just kind of fits now. If you go to the top, once you've got all
yeah,
the
yeah.
data, I get this question a lot, and especially with the YSQR, people will say something like, "Well, I think I would answer that differently if I think about myself 10 years ago, or if I think about myself now, or if I think about myself when I was a child, or if I
Mm,
think about myself now that I'm married,
mm,
that it might be different." And they say, "So how do I answer that?" Right? I've always just kind of said to them, you should probably answer it kind of now about you, how you, and then look at I say, look at the prompt,
mm,
how you emotionally feel, not based on, not on what you think to be true, how you emotionally feel based on how you feel now, basically, right?
mm,
So
mm,
I try to anchor them. We don't want to assess you in this questionnaire like when you were 10. We
mm,
want to get an idea of the schema activation and the schemas, how you experience them now, from that
mm.
emotional perspective. I don't know. What do you reckon? How would you answer that
Yeah,
question?
yeah, no, I think so. So like, I guess the thing that a patient's going to be able to connect to the most is um, what they experience now, especially emotionally, physiologically, when something is triggered. So it makes sense that they would be trying to capture that data, and I
Mm,
suppose in that way, then we can make linkages back to
yeah.
past of the origins of
Yeah.
those. So,
I mean,
so
it would be interesting. I'm always tempted to say to them, do it for now, and then we'll see how you go. And if it's a bit of underreporting, you might say, you know what? Why don't you fill it out again from your 8-year-old self,
mm,
like, and
mm,
see if that fires things up. It might be a different kind of data point, but
yeah.
okay. I don't want to distract you though from
Oh
the
no,
main
no, that's
change, from the
okay.
main changes.
And often, you see, especially with like emotional deprivation, um, I guess, in the context of that, when if patients try and answer how they emotionally feel now, you might actually see that the emotional deprivation items are much lower until
Yeah,
you start doing
especially if
therapy.
they've got a detached protector, and they're like, well,
Yeah, big
now I'm
time, right?
fine. Now I'm actually okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah, big time. And so, Yeah, we know that this is not a diagnostic tool, but a clinical tool, right? So it helps us to collect data in lots of different ways that's going to help us essentially be able to, implement schema therapy or whatever we're going to, focus on in a clinical sense. So
So what
anyway,
other changes did you make? I saw you just grabbed, I guess this is just for the listeners.
oh,
This
sure,
is
yeah.
this is how you're sort of using this, if you don't know already. You're grabbing the responses from that left-hand side, 116 responses, and then
Copying that,
you're pasting them over into the
the
scoring tool
scoring tool, which is here.
with a simple click
Okay,
paste. Okay.
brilliant. So I'll just start with the first page. There hasn't been any really significant changes with that. This is just more of the fact that I've changed a couple of little things, and it kind of indicates that. What you'll find is, I suppose before I say anything else, Jeff Young in a book called The Schema Therapy Distinctive Features, 2011
Yep.
was published with
Yep.
Raffaelli.
Yep. Yeah. Eshkol. I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so in that, basically, he suggests a couple of things. So there's different ways of interpreting this data. One way of doing that is looking at the more extreme scores, so fours, fives and sixes, and then looking at the mean scores for each. So the reason I have made some of these modifications is that, to make it more the data more accessible to different clinicians' way of, I guess, thinking about things.
Yep. And to give you different options for if you want to use the extreme score, that's if things are popping out there, or if you want to have a look at the mean score approach, sort of see what sort of data sort of pokes out at you.
Yeah, that's right. So essentially, I've changed the data points, so the graphs,
Yep.
to be bar graphs instead of which was the line graph before. I think it's just a lot clearer, and it gives us a nice immediate picture. And I've also included the percentage scores at the top again, just for ease
Yeah.
of interpretation.
And if we can stay there for a sec, so you've got percentage of fours, fives, and sixes. So this is a version of extreme score interpretation,
That's
but
right.
it's a version where you've included fours.
So, sorry, go on.
What's your interpretation on this? Because is it 50%? Like people, how do you interpret this? Yeah.
Yeah, so for this, if I'll just go through it in a little bit more systematic, in a bit more of a systematic way. So if I'm kind of like, I want to have a look and see what the kind of percentage scores of fours, fives, and sixes are. In a snapshot, I'm going to have a look and see that there's actually quite a few schemas here that are elevated. And when we've got borderline patients, as you know, there's going to be a lot more of these more extreme scores across the board. So it's really important to try and be able to differentiate, what are the kind of, I guess, functionally impairing schemas
Yeah.
compared to the others. And so I feel like this is a nice visual kind of representation of that, of the fours, fives, and sixes. If you want to go to a mean score approach, then you might have a look at this table. And so we know that mean scores above 4 are kind of, clinically meaningful. And so we might want to interpret the data in this way. And here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schemas that are kind of like, noteworthy, worthy of further investigation. But if you want to get a snapshot of like the most extreme scores, that's the reason why I put it in the percentages of fives and sixes only, because this one is going to bring your attention immediately to those most severe schemas and the ones that are causing the most distress or problems in that person's life. So
Yeah.
that can help then, I guess, open up conversations with the
I
patient.
personally go with this. I guess it's a remnant of the old extreme score graph that we used to use on the short form. We used to do the sort of 2 or more items at 5 or 6. It used to be a bit of a rule of thumb. But if 50% means there are, depending on how many items, some of the factors have what, 8, I think, or
Some of them
7.
are 8, some of them are 5,
Some
7.
have much less. So in a way, like 50% of the items, you're responding 5 or 6. You're going, yes, yes, this
Yeah,
is this
there's
is
something here.
me.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something here. Like, so I quite like starting off with this one. What do
As
you
do I.
think?
I actually
Yeah,
move these around just to demonstrate.
yeah.
I guess if you go here, you can see
Not
that
much kind of poking out.
yeah, there's a lot more there's a lot more going on, and it's the same kind of like with the means, and the means I think are a great way of interpreting data, but it's
Can
not
be,
as
yeah.
nuanced as this
Not a
one.
lot poking out and then bang. Now you got, when you look at the extreme ones, you can see schemas that might be more problematic or more impactful. Yeah, that's a nice demonstration.
Thanks,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I felt like it was important just to make sure that, and so this percentage is of 4s, 5s, and 6s, which I'm going to move over here.
And I should say actually that this, you played around with it. Actually, we released this last week on our site as well. And so actually you've still been playing around with this until yesterday. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
this morning. So well,
This
yesterday,
morning.
actually,
So
right?
this is it, yeah?
Yeah, this is it. This is
Okay,
it.
so I'm when by the time you guys are listening to this, the most up to date version will be on our platform at the
Yeah,
YSQ-R free tool section.
excellent.
All right, done. So that makes sense. This is the new scoring template and a little bit of the new Excel version that you've got that little bit of extra data on the side about the items.
Yes, and the new graph of percentages of 4s, 5s, and 6s in there.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
was the yeah.
So that's the
Oh,
main
the
interpretation.
other cool thing is if you go actually to the table, um, which is the print table, and also in the other one, you'll see that the very high scores or the mean scores that are above 4, very high scores, 5s and 6s are highlighted. So it'll bold
Right,
the
so it'll
ones that are.
say elevated if you hit either. If you hit a mean score of 4, or if you hit a 50% on 5s and 6s,
Yeah.
it'll go to elevated.
Yeah, that's right. It'll change that table
Yeah.
to be bold. Yeah. Um,
And it'll change it to not only bold, it'll say the word elevated. Is that right?
yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So that's a little quick fire way to have a look and say, okay, and then go back and have a look at the graph version,
Mm,
sort of see how it pokes out.
yeah. This first tab, actually, this schema profile tab does the same thing. So this is just literally for the clinician, after they've put in the data, to have a visual snapshot
Of it
immediately
all together.
of all together. So you go,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So here's the table, elevated, not elevated. Here are the extreme scores of
Yeah.
5s and 6s. Here are the mean scores.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and print whichever one you prefer individually.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I like it. I like it. It's all in one place. So in a way, once you've plugged it in, you really want to come back here. This is your central point of interpretation.
Mm. So yeah, if you just follow the tabs in order, you will be able to have a nice
Yeah.
story.
Now, I guess the other thing that I get asked a lot too, and it relates to, and because what you want to do sometimes is dig into the data a little bit and look at the input data, and at the item level, could we do that a little bit here?
Sure.
So, and you can see that it's sort of clumped together in terms of factors. So you can kind of see what's coming up extreme. That's always good practice, isn't it? To come back and say, so why are they actually
Definitely.
responding in an extreme way? What are those
Mm,
items that they're really endorsing?
mm.
So that's another thing when interpreting. But my question to you is, and I've always wondered about this, are there sort of like either just clinically on your experience? I think so. Based on your experience or based on the rash, like the analysis that you're doing, are there sort of super items
Yeah, great.
within
Yeah, that
these
was a great
things?
question. That's a great question. So I'll go back to the questionnaire, and I actually just went through quickly and highlighted some of the ones that
Mm.
you're referring to.
Oh,
That really do capture that schema really well. And this is kind of like statistically and clinically meaningful. So, these are things
right. So
like,
this is based partly on the rash analysis,
yeah, yeah. So
like in
these
terms of the most powerful items, like drawing the variance.
Yeah. So I didn't have time to go through and look at every single one. I
Yeah,
was putting that together this morning, but I did manage to get a few of them.
yeah,
So, for emotional deprivation, for example, this item here is a really
yeah,
strong indicator of emotional deprivation.
yeah.
Much of my life, I haven't felt that I'm special to anyone. Abandonment, I feel addicted to partners who can't be there for me in any committed
Oh,
way.
really?
That's a
Yeah.
that's a really significant
I mean,
item.
you look at that mistrust one. That is like that's almost the definition of
Yeah,
mistrust, to be right.
yeah. Social
And the
isolation.
same as the next one. Like, look at item 25. I'm inherently flawed and defective.
Yeah.
So you haven't done
I'm a
this.
failure. Like,
Totally. Like, if
yeah.
they're saying that, then you know it's a failure
Mm.
schema.
And,
So,
sorry, go on.
so you haven't done it for all of them. Could I trouble you? Can I trouble you to do that? Because you're nearly there, or
Yeah,
have you
yeah.
done it for all of them?
I've done it for a bunch of them, but I can. And I can maybe send that to you separately, or do you
Yeah,
want
yeah. Like, so by the time you guys are listening to this, we'll have the update to the update to the update
to?
with this kind of most powerful representative items just highlighted there. That's just a little special
Oh,
bonus.
I highlighted these for demonstration purposes. I hadn't considered highlighting them in the questionnaire, but maybe I could in the maybe that's a good
I
idea.
reckon just do it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for folks to understand that
Hmm.
in the psychometrics, this was the item that was doing a lot of the work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it's saying. It's not saying don't use the other items, but
Mhm.
clinically that might be interesting.
Okay. I might have to that might have to come a little bit later because I've got to go through and
Yeah, yeah.
go back to
Okay.
my research that I haven't opened for,
Is that okay? I mean, it might take a week or
Sure.
so, but so I'll hold off updating it and even releasing this video until that's there, so that when we release it, all that it's the latest version.
Okay. Um, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I might in some way indicate this in a different way. I might maybe high
Put an
bold
asterisk or something or whatever you
bold the
like. Yeah,
item number as
yeah,
opposed to the item because essentially you don't like my opinion for patients who are filling this
yeah.
out, you don't want them to be like, oh, what's different about that one or what's different about that
True,
one.
true,
Kind of
true,
like to be
true.
partial to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or,
Um,
or, or the other way to do it, Oz, if you didn't want to change it at all for the responding, is just have it somewhere in an maybe an interpretation table or something where you just
oh yeah, I might put it in I might put it in the scorer. That's a good
yeah, that way the client's not seeing it. Yeah,
yeah, that's a good one. Okay. So maybe I might
yeah,
maybe I
have them in
might do
there.
it in here
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to okay, good.
that'll be cool.
We found a solution. That's awesome. Okay.
See, we figured it out live. This is how we work.
That's how we work. That's how we roll.
This is how we
How we
roll.
roll, Rob.
Okay. All right. So, was there anything else about any of that you wanted to get through?
No, no, that's it. I think yeah. That bit's
Okay,
done.
another question I get a lot of is there any changes or implications for the online slash Google link version?
No, no, nothing's changed there. My dear friend Jason Werschel at Unpack Psychology, he's as I mentioned before, he played a significant role in helping put this together. And until now, I think there's like 10,000 downloads of it that people have
Yeah,
viewed, which is a lot, right?
yeah,
And yeah, so yeah, there's no changes to that, and it's still available. Him and I, him more so on that end, me on this end, spend a lot of hours and hours and hours like
yeah,
helping, or making these
yeah. I
modifications.
mean, personally, exactly. I really like the Google, the automatic
Yeah,
scorer for that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
And he volunteers his time to fix up any errors or if there's a problem, right?
yeah,
Like
if
he'll send
someone
me
if
an
someone
email
says there's
and
an issue,
yeah, it's really
yeah.
awesome.
So you can we get access to that again through on our platform. If you go to the YSQ-R, all you need to know free
Mm.
course, we've got it all there about how to get there because we did that in a previous one with you.
Yeah. Did I send you the online scorer instructions? Did I send you that?
Yeah, yeah, that's all up there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
But so you got to
brilliant.
get in there through the online platform. One thing I just wanted you to say, if you could speak to
Sure.
a question I get about that pretty much every day is with the online scorer, I mean, does it keep any patient data or anything like that? Like, Is there a confidentiality data collection type issue with it?
No, no. It's everything that all the data that's collected is in line with the Australian Privacy Act. There's no data, there's no third party access, anything like that. It is purely for um, Jason to be able to identify if there's an error and to be able to find the questionnaire or the one that was submitted, fix the error, and then essentially send it back. But it doesn't get kept for any other purpose as in I'm losing my words, in any other words aside from as it's intended to be used as a questionnaire. Not told.
Okay, so there's no third party use
Yes,
of the online tool. But does he have access to their name and stuff like that?
He would have access to whatever name was put in there.
Yeah,
And that's why I guess there's lots of, I guess, when you submit it, you can put the patient's initials, you can put,
yeah.
the first name and initial of the surname.
Okay.
So there's different ways. If you want to add an extra layer of sort of
Confidentiality, yeah.
privacy and confidentiality to that, then you can easily just modify the name that's on.
Okay, so they just make it, you could essentially put an MRN or assign a number or an initial or something.
That's right.
It might be good practice, right sort of thing. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, but I mean, from that data standpoint, it meets the HIPAA requirements for data protection, and he's not selling the data to third-party people or something like that.
Absolutely not. No way.
Okay.
And he's really big on that stuff, right?
And he's based in Australia, and he's a psychologist.
On the Gold Coast. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that before we even launched it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, in some ways, it's no different to like a PAI or something when you give it to a client and it's on the system, and within the system, the client's identifying details will be in there, and it'll print out a report and stuff. So in some ways, I guess it's kind of like that. Yeah. But I just wanted to ask you directly about those parameters, because people ask about it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. It's a very reasonable question. Absolutely. Even to the point where, for example, if somebody submitted a questionnaire for a patient, a clinician, and it kind of, and then they're trying to find it because it hasn't got sent back to them. It's maybe because it's been from a, kind of not like suspicious email.
Yeah.
So then Jason will go through and find it and say, well, can you change the email address?
Right. So he will do that. He sort of dedicates time for that.
Yeah, he did. He like at least an hour a week to, help clinicians to either identify where this, schema questionnaire is gone, or yeah, definitely, yeah, very kind of thing.
Okay, makes sense. And all right, I think we've covered like the main things we needed to today with the update and a few questions about whether it sort of has implications for the online version. I think
there were a couple of other things I just wanted to mention as well. Like we've been working really hard with colleagues internationally for different translations of this, and there is now available a Francophone version of the YSQ-R scorer and questionnaire. And my colleague Shirin Dakak in Queensland, in Quebec, we've spent countless hours on creating these things. So big shout out to her. She's a
Queensland, Quebec.
As
soon as you get past Ayers Rock, it's all the same.
Yeah. And yeah, big shout out to her because she's been really amazing. And there will soon be a Polish version, an Italian version, a German version,
nice.
and Italian others. So
we'll get some research going around this. We're just talking backstage. We're going to work on a Chinese version as well.
Yeah.
So at the moment, so it might be worth reaching out to you. Everyone can see there on the screen. Your email address is on the scorer,
Yes.
right down there. So if anyone has any questions about translations or research related stuff, want to collaborate, they can contact you there, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And all of this stuff can also, be downloaded on from our website. The other thing that was really important here as well is, wanted to make sure that there's one version of this that goes around, regardless of the language. And so this is officially the version of the questionnaire, and the one I showed you with the scorer. And it's really important that it remains impartial, because we want to make it available to as many people as possible, clinicians, researchers, and
Yeah.
yeah, and organizations and things like that. So um, yeah, I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I just wanted to, before we finish up, I know people will ask this
Mm.
if I don't do it, because I talked about a link that we have on the online platform where you can
Mm.
check this out and where you can also understand where to get the online link that you've
Yes.
created. So what I'll do here is, if you can give me control back
Oh, sure, sure. Yes,
of
I'll
sharing, I'll
do
just
that.
quickly share my screen. All right. Sorry, just bear with me, guys. Here we go. Screen one. All right. So you can see that there, guys. You should be able to see my screen now. And there's the web address at the top. Okay. chematherapytrainingonline.com/p/YSQ stroke. Is it R? Okay. And that way you'll get through. And I will post this webinar along with all the webinars that you've done with us and updates. I'll post it in that one central place. I'll also post this particular interview to our YouTube channel. If folks are interested, they can find it there as well. But
Mm.
that's it, Oz. I think we got there, man. So
Thanks.
all right, thanks for coming on board and updating us about the world of the YSQ-R.
No, thanks, Rob. I really appreciate it. And I'm grateful to have these conversations with you, as am I with, other organizations or other people who are really interested and as passionate as you are about this, which is, we want to make this stuff available to people. We want to make it as accessible as possible. And, yeah, it's really great to be able to do.
Yeah, we love getting the word out,
Mm.
Chris and I, and with what we're doing with the platform. So it's always good to collaborate with you, Oz. And hopefully I'll
Likewise.
see you. We just releasing save the date actually for Connect
Oh,
2025, November 7th.
excellent.
If you want a trip to Sydney, one day Connect conference. So
I'll be there.
I know you're going to be there. I know you were there last year. You had fun, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't
You
miss
had
it.
fun. All right, mate. Well, I'll see you face to face down the track. Take care, Oz.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your
See you,
time.
mate.
Cheers.
Bye.